Okay, let's see why we're not responding here. Star. Where are you? What? Where's my wait stand? Where are my tanks? Refresh. What the what? Where's my Ethereum? 100? I have 40,000. What is going on? No, 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 no. Wait. No. No, 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 no. Level 1? Ah! Are you kidding me? Does that remind you of anything? Sound or look familiar? If so, then you've probably been scammed. Unknowingly opening up your crypto wallet to some asshole who decided to clear it out and take all your hard work, your time, and your money. And it sucks. But if that did happen to you, or if you're concerned about it happening to you in the future, then it needs to be a wake-up call. You need to change the way that you do things. So what I'm going to go into today is the new security protocol that I've put together for myself in order to add layers of security and protection both to the tools that I have at my disposal as well as my personal practices. So let's get started. All right, so this is my personal crypto security protocol that I put together after looking at the way that I used to do crypto transactions, then looked at all the tools that I could use to increase my security and the practices that I would need to use to implement and to maximize their effectiveness. Hardware wallets provide an air gap between the crypto in your wallet and the rest of the scammers out there trying to get it. It requires you to type in a password to essentially accept any transaction in or out of that hardware wallet. When you put your funds on that hardware wallet, that is essentially the safest place that you can have them. And then that hardware wallet, which is just a small hard drive stick, mine is actually right here. It is a ledger, and we'll put links in the description below so that you can look at different hardware wallets as well as see some tutorials on how to use them. But essentially I plug this into my computer and then I type in the PIN each and every time that I want to do a transaction in or out of that. That prevents anyone from taking funds out of my wallet without me knowing. The only way that funds can leave my wallet is if I punch in the password and approve the transactions. So that is going to be one of the biggest benefits that you can to increase your personal security with cryptocurrency. Second is the two-factor authentication apps. And there are several two-factor authentication apps, and 2FA is a way that actually requires an additional password that you need to enter in. It changes, usually those apps change them every 30 or 60 seconds and generates a new password. And so the only way for someone to be able to access your wallet or your approval of a transaction is if they have access to your computer and the two-factor authentication app at the same time, because it's time sensitive. You have to be able to put that in within a 30 to 60 second time frame. So utilizing that is important, and I'll go into this a little bit later, but keeping the 2FA app on a separate device than the crypto transaction that you're going to be doing is important. Multiple wallet addresses. This is really important. If you can use it correctly, it's extremely powerful. It is the thing that saved me from losing the most. Okay, I had one of my wallets hacked, but because I had decentralized my asset holdings, I had divvied them up into multiple different wallets. They only got a small chunk. It was a non-life-changing chunk. It sucked, and I don't ever want to have it happen again, but because I had used multiple wallets, they only had access to one of them. And so utilizing that is going to be important. Using a VPN with a kill switch. And so my VPNs are set up, if I lose connection to the VPN, then my computer will disconnect from the internet. Okay, so I never have internet connection without my VPN. I've set that up specifically, and I think that's the most secure way to do it, because if it were to disconnect from your VPN unknowingly to you, then you could be operating without the VPN protecting you. And what that does is it essentially anonymizes your IP address of your specific computer, which for people that are trying to hack into your computer and then get access to your assets, that VPN security level is extremely important, and it gives you a level of anonymity. Making sure that you have a secure internet connection. So if you are at the airport and you're using a public Wi-Fi, that is not a secure internet connection. Anybody can tap into your Wi-Fi if it's a public channel and get access to your information. And so you want to make sure that wherever you are, you have a secure internet connection. I always go into my own personal office with a landline, as certain as I can that it is secure and private. And then lastly is a random password generator, because good practices would say change your password, every month or even every week, so that people don't discover what your password is or guess what your password is, and to keep it completely random is important. We'll leave links in the description below about one random password generator that I have found very effective at random.org. That actually derives the passwords from atmospheric noise, so that's about as random as you get. So it can't be figured out through mathematical equations, reworking your passwords, which some other randomizing password protocols have some vulnerabilities in that. So then going on to the practices that are required to actually make those tools useful and maximize their effectiveness. First, you'll never run crypto transactions while you're distracted or in a rush. It doesn't matter how good your tools are. If you're not paying attention, you are the weak link, which is exactly what happened to me. I was distracted, I was in a rush, I was tired, and I didn't catch the obvious signs of a phishing scam. And I put in the transfer codes, the ones that you're not supposed to give out to anybody. That was my mistake. And it wouldn't have mattered how many security tools I had, because my practices failed at the very first level. And that's why I put that at the very first one. Never do crypto distracted or in a rush. Second, consider the amount of asset in your wallet as the amount you're willing to risk to do the transaction. If there's more assets in your wallet than you're willing to risk, then you either need to not do that transaction, or you need to remove some of your assets from that wallet, create a new wallet with multiple wallets. You don't get charged for multiple wallets. It's free. You set up a second wallet and you move those assets in, or you set up a separate wallet and do the new transaction in that one. I have used that several times when I got an airdrop from a project that I thought was probably good, but I wasn't sure, and I didn't want to risk the $10,000 of cryptocurrency in my one wallet. Not worth the risk of getting an airdrop NFT from some small NFT project that I was just playing around with. So I would set up a new wallet or a dummy wallet, and I would send the information so they could get airdrop it into that wallet, and then make sure that they weren't able to access anything, that the minimal funds that I put in for the transaction weren't drained, that I had time to check out the project a little bit more thoroughly, thoroughly on Discord, look at their website, and make sure that they're authentic. And so using the multiple wallets that way is very effective. Check and confirm that website address that you're using for the transaction is authentic. And the ways you can do that is you can reach out to, most projects have a presence on Discord or they have a web address. And so reaching out to their Discord, trying to find a moderator to communicate with, and make sure that the transactions you're undergoing is authentic and part of their project and not just a scam that someone's using a project as a front. You can also go and join a community or guild that you can trust, a crypto community. And crypto communities, the guilds that I've been involved with, general crypto trading and those types of communities are usually pretty tight knit, and you can find some people in those that are very willing to help you. Just ask questions, and most people want to help because most people have been through some of these not so fun experiences of getting scammed or hacked or a rug pull. The negative things you hear about crypto, a lot of people have experienced it, and they want to help you not experience it. They want to help you around it. And so reaching out to the communities is going to be a big part of that practice, and checking out the new projects, because you can't know everything about everything. 4 is never give your key phrase, seed phrase, or private keys to anyone, ever. And key phrases are used for reinitializing or importing your wallet, and that should only be done by you executing it on the wallet application. Transfer codes are only used for purchasing or sending NFTs or assets. If the applications are asking for any of those for any other reasons, you're being scammed. And that's the one that I haven't read, because that's the one that got me. I know never to give out my seed phrase, my key phrase, my private keys. With Gala Games uses a transfer code, which was not trained in my head to set off the alarms. When they asked for my transfer code to reset my account, I didn't have that ingrained that is a bad thing, that I should never give that out to somebody unless I'm doing the specific action of purchasing something myself, or I wanted to send my NFT to a different location. And so knowing those phrases or those terminologies of the vulnerable parts of the application are important. You need to familiarize yourself with the applications that you use. It was in a large way my fault that I didn't know or didn't understand how important that transfer code was. I did, but it wasn't trained into my mind the way that your keys, your key phrase or your seed phrase. If somebody had said that, alarm bells would have gone off, and I would never have done that. And so familiarize yourself with the application. If you're using it a lot, if you have a lot of assets on it, you need to know how it should function. And then if you see something that's not quite usual, you are often some of the best defense that you'll have in recognizing that and stopping yourself from going any further. Narrow your crypto holdings to a range of projects and blockchains that you can check, and this is my personal parameters, in a 2-hour time frame. Now, I do this because of asset and time management. I don't have enough time in the day to spend 4 or 5 hours checking on all of my different assets, going into all the different blockchains. I need to be able to go in and check through all of my crypto assets during my crypto business day in a reasonable amount of time. And if it's taking me over 2 hours to get through all of those, then that means I have too many items, too many projects that I'm trying to juggle. And that time management is very important. Being in a rush is an issue. If you have poor time management, or if you have too many items to have control over, you're going to get distracted, you're going to be in a rush, you're not going to be able to put the correct amount of focus on your assets. Two-factor authentication, keep those on 2 separate devices. If you're doing the crypto transaction on your phone, which I don't recommend using your phone, but there are some applications that are only mobile. If you're doing the transaction on your phone, your 2FA should not be on your phone. It should be on your computer, a secondary phone to be able to utilize that. If you're doing the transaction on a computer, then you can have your authentication, your 2FA on your phone, but you don't want it on both, because someone gets access to your computer and gets access to both, then now you've lost all security. If someone steals your phone, they get onto your crypto account and it's a 2FA and you have it on your phone, well, all they're doing is just going from one app to the other on your phone. That eliminates the security that 2FA gives you. So use it correctly and use it separately. Never save your password or key phrase on your computer. Always have an air gap. That means write it down on a piece of paper, in a notebook, on a metal stamp, and put it somewhere safe, perhaps in a safe. That creates that air gap. Nobody can possibly know your seed phrase if you never save it on the computer. They can hack your computer all you want, and they're not getting that seed phrase. Change your passwords monthly or weekly, and with those random password generators, that project's a little bit easier. You can just go on and take the password from there. You can even alter it from those websites. You can take the numbers from those numbers and letters and then mix it into another password that you have, depending on how secure you want to make it. But getting those random generated portions and easily create more passwords is important and a good practice to have. Practice high value transactions with smaller amounts first. Now this is just kind of a general practice. I want to make sure that I'm doing the transaction correctly, and if you've been in crypto for a while, you know that sometimes, and definitely using new protocols, you're not so familiar with what you're doing. And so to circumvent making some stupid mistakes, and potentially if you're doing small transactions and you see something that's wrong about it, you are able to catch that it's a scam. You haven't done the full amount, the big chunk of assets that you were planning on doing. So this is actually my new protocol, my step-by-step checklist that I need to get through in order to finish a transaction. First, do I have time to concentrate on this transaction? If I do, if I'm not in a rush, if I'm not distracted, then I continue. Am I in a safe location with secure internet? Check. Moving on. Is the application I'm using authentic? Have I used it before? Or have I checked with the Discord or with my crypto community? If I can say yes to that, then I move on. I check the gas fees because I hate paying ridiculously high transfer fees for my crypto transactions. Anybody using Ethereum knows what that feels like. Then I will check the total wallet asset value and compare it with my comfort threshold. So I come up with an amount of value in my assets that I'm comfortable with in that wallet, and I check it at this point to make sure that I'm not risking too much right now. If I can say yes, I move on, enter the desired transaction, right? I want to send this transaction to this wallet address. Then I go to the next step, which is normally the approval process. But at that point, I stop and I confirm, do I still want to do this transaction? Okay, that helps me take out FOMO, but it also will give you a chance to double check your work. Do I feel comfortable about whatever application I'm using, the website that I'm going through, gas fees, all that stuff? Have I done my security protocols? And if I can answer yes, then I continue. And then finally we have your 2FA code that will have to be entered in as well. You enter that in, you execute. And that is it. The end of my protocol. I have sent my transaction, and I'm feeling safe and secure, a little bit warm and fuzzy inside, and I hope you will be too. Again, we want to focus on the protocol and the practices that you're using, okay? You are going to be the biggest weak link, and so you need to train your mind to do better. I hope that nobody else has to go through the heartache of losing a large amount of your effort, your time, and the assets, the money that you put into it to build your NFT or your crypto portfolio the way that I have. It didn't break me because I did have good practices, but I didn't have good enough practices. So even if you've been careful, double check the way you do things. Don't rush, take your time, and be careful out there. Hopefully this was helpful. Don't worry about liking or subscribing. Screw the algorithm. But if you think this would be helpful to someone you know, please share it with them. If you can do that, then today was a good day. Good morning, Metaverse.